Hi and welcome to Game Creation. Last video we did the grid and we've got a player object, which is great. But that player object doesn't do anything. So today we're going to be looking at Clickteam's default movement. We're going to be implementing it, which is actually really simple, and that's why we love Clickteam. But then we're going to be refining it and seeing what we can do with the movement and what we don't want from our character and what we do want from our character. So let's switch over to the screen. Okay, so what I've done now is opened up the project we started in the last video. I haven't changed the version number because we haven't changed anything. We haven't created something to release, and even if it's releasing something internally and something we could release but we choose not to, I normally change the version numbers when I've finished the week's objective, and I haven't done that yet because it was all about player movement. I want to complete and suss player movement. So I'm going to click on the frame that we've created. And I'm going to think about, right, how do I want this to move? So I want the player to use the cursor keys on the keyboard. I'll worry about controller support and all that stuff later on. Remember, we're thinking about the minimum viable product for controlling. So if I click on it and click on movement, at the moment it's static, which means it's not going to do anything. And there's loads of options here, way too many for us to get our head around. But I want to do 8 directions. Because 8 directions will automatically use the cursor keys on the keyboard. And I'm just going to use the default, fine, click run, application, and yeah, looks pretty good. Fantastic. You might think, okay, that's it, done. But that's not how RPGs work. And, well, maybe there are some that work that way, but not many. So we've got to refine that. And so if I close that down, and click on it and go back to movement. With RPGs, you can't travel in all the 8 directions. So if I click on direction, I should disable the diagonal ones, because in an RPG, you can't travel in those ones. So I disable them because I don't want the player to travel in those. They need to work with the grid. And I click out of that, and let's just check that works. Yep. So 0 is here, 8 oh, hang on, where is it? 0 is here, 8 is here, 16 is here, and 24 is here, which is quite useful when you want to do this programmatically. It's not easy to get your head around. Starting on the right is easy, but going anti or counterclockwise is not the easiest thing to get your head around, but that's the way it's coded. And every programming language makes slightly different decisions with this, and every framework makes slightly different decisions. So if I try that now, click run application, I can't go diagonally. So I'm clicking diagonal, it's not letting me go there. It's kind of working in the directions of the grid, sort of horizontally and vertically, which is good. Is the speed what I want? So let's close that down. And let's just adjust the speed. And I think these are 0 to 100, or 0 to 250, there you go. Didn't know that. You can tell I don't use this very often, and we'll talk about why in a second. So you can tweak these. So the speed is obviously how quick it moves across the screen. I think that's pretty obvious. Acceleration, deceleration may be less obvious. Acceleration basically is how quickly it gets to that speed. So if you want it instantly at that speed, you rack it up, and let's have a look how that works. Yeah, and that's not ideal because it loses the subtlety. Like, you're instantly going at that speed, and actually as a player you don't necessarily want to instantly go at that speed. There's no subtlety. You're like, literally as soon as you touch it, it goes to max, and we don't necessarily want that. So let's move the acceleration down. Let's move it down really low. So let's move to 15. Let's have a look. So I'm going to hold it down, and it's so slow. Like, it would feel sluggish at this speed. So let's close that down. And it's normally with these, it's best to keep them somewhere in the middle, but you might make slightly different decisions. So with deceleration, it's kind of the opposite of acceleration. It's how quickly it goes to 0 when you release the key. So if I put the deceleration up to 250, and I move, as soon as I let go, it stops. Okay, and if I go to the other extreme, rack it the way down to 15. So I'm just going to tap it. It's already taken ages to stop. So 15 is way too late. If you put 0, it will never stop. So if you deceleration is 0, let's put the speed down so we can actually see it. So I'll put the speed, I don't know, to 20. Not worry about the acceleration. So application, and I just click right. It just won't ever stop. It'll go on forever. There you go. And then I click left. Won't ever stop. And it will probably get destroyed somewhere over here to stop memory, to help with memory management. So, I mean, you play around with these. I wouldn't worry too much about these at this stage because there's no frame reference, there's no level, you can't test it properly really, and you'll want to tweak these later on anyway. However, something I want to highlight, and this will lead on to my next video, I don't want this. I don't want the player to be able to be between tiles. The reason is that the programming I want to do relies on the player either moving or is stationary within a tile, so that helps me with programming later on. It helps me with getting items, and it makes it feel a little bit better that you're constantly within a grid start a tile or are actively moving between it. You can't ever stop between grids, and this is where Clickteam not only gives you limitations, because you can't do that with this, and please comment in the section below if you believe you can, because I'm always interested in learning more. The best way of doing it is to code it ourselves, and because our objective this week is player movement, the minimum viable product at the moment for me and for what I want to do, it's not good enough that the player that the player can stop between grid tiles. So in our next video we're going to be addressing that, and it's a little bit more full on. There's a lot more because we're going to be replicating the Clickteam approach to movement, but we're going to be doing it completely ourselves without using the 8 directions here. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you liked it, please click like. Also, if you've got anything you want to add or any comment you want to make, or future project proposals, or you find that different ways easier for you, please let us know down in the comments. I really want to have an opportunity to go through the comments in future videos. That would be really, really good. If you like what you see and you want to subscribe, please click the subscribe. There's something about a bell icon as well. Make sure you have the notifications. Also, we release videos on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday at 7 in the evening UK time, and you can, if you're in a different country, you can find out hopefully what that is in your local time. And yeah, it has been really, really fun, and I hope you join us for the journey. Thank you very much.